And with this, we are now officially live. So I'm going to go ahead and kick us off tonight by sharing my screen, giving a quick welcome to everybody joining us tonight. So hopefully that's coming up. There we go. And so basically, hello, welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for Pennsylvania students, sponsored by the Pennsylvania Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thanks for joining. Very brief housekeeping before we get started. Please feel free to use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and your microphone are off, so our panelists cannot see or hear you. This is one of our many different sessions happening. We'd love to see you back for more, so please feel free to check out our full schedule at pacac.org, which is PACAC.org. This presentation is being recorded and it will be available within about a week at that same website, pacac.org. And with that, it is my pleasure to go ahead and turn it over to our presenters tonight.
Awesome, thank you so much. I'm gonna just share my screen really quick. Hi everyone and welcome. Thank you so much for joining today for the Butler Info Session. My name is Sarah Gennardo and I am one of the Assistant Directors of Admission here at Butler. My position is a little bit unique because I'm actually not based in Indianapolis. I'm the Mid-Atlantic Regional Admission Counselor and actually live in the DC metro area and work with students specifically from the Mid-Atlantic and the New England states. I do work with all students in Pennsylvania except for Pittsburgh. And so if my colleague Becky, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Becky Taylor. I am also Assistant Director of Admission at Butler University, and I am based on campus in Indianapolis. I do a couple of things. I oversee all of our student ambassadors, so all of our campus tour guides, as well as I have territories in Northern Indiana and Western Pennsylvania. So I'm thrilled to be joining Sarah this evening and excited to get this kicked off.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Becky. So tonight we do have a good amount of information to share with you guys, just kind of about Butler, about the admission process. And then we also have 3 current students with us that will be joining us kind of in the later half of the presentation to do kind of a current student Q&A and answer any questions that you guys have. So anyone listening in today, please feel free to drop your question in the chat box and we will hopefully get to it at the end. So I'm going to pass it over to Becky now for the presentation.
Okay, wonderful. Let's talk a little bit about the basics at Butler. So we are a private institution located in Indianapolis, Indiana. Currently, you can see we've got about 4,600 undergraduate students on our campus. Class sizes are relatively small. We actually only have about 4 large lecture halls on our campus. So class sizes are really similar to what you're already experiencing in high school. So making that transition from high school to college at Butler is pretty easy. So as you can see, we've got a really low student to faculty ratio at 11:1. I think a lot of students choose Butler for that. They really want that personal relationship with their professor. It's very common on the first day of class on our campus for professors to pass out their cell phone numbers so that they are completely available to their students. And again, that kind of personal relationship is really important to our current students. Okay, academics at Butler. We're going to go through this a little bit quickly. Sarah, if you want to advance that. Next. So at Butler, we have got 6 colleges, with over 65 majors on our campus. So all of the majors fit nicely into one of 6 colleges, and we're going to go through those kind of quickly here so we can get to some other things. First up is College of Communication. So fastest growing college on our campus, majors like journalism, communication science and disorders, sports media is really popular right now. Some of the things that our students really enjoy is hands-on accessibility to that equipment from day one. So you don't have to be an upperclassman to get into our editing bays, our studios, sound processing, all of that. That is available to you as a first-year student. Next. Okay, College of Education, another really wonderful opportunity at Butler. I think a lot because of our location. So we are in Indianapolis. So College of Ed students, when you're doing your student teaching, your 4th year at Butler, you get to experience urban, suburban, as well as rural setting class environments for your student teaching. Another great thing about this college is we do have a 100% placement rate after graduation. That's been around for about 16 years now. So really proud of that 100% placement rate. Okay, next. College of Liberal Arts and Science. So this is our largest college on campus. A lot of departments and majors are in this area. Things like mathematics, English, modern languages, all of the OoloGies like sociology, psychology. We've got a really vibrant engineering program that we partner with Purdue University. It's a 5-year dual degree program where you have the opportunity to earn 2 degrees, a Butler degree, as well as a Purdue engineering degree that is also housed in the College of Liberal Arts and Science. Okay, next. College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. So what you will find there is our very neat 6-year direct admit pharmacy program. We also have an undergraduate degree for health sciences, healthcare and business, as well as the 2-year professional phase of physician assistant. So a lot of students will come to Butler with the desire to go on to be a PA. They will get their 4-year health science degree and then transition into the PA program at Butler. Okay, next. Jordan College of the Arts. So very vibrant on our campus. We have got one of the top 5 ballet programs in the country. A conservatory style program that draws students from both coasts, East and West. We also have a very strong theater department, School of Music, Arts Administration. But one thing to keep in mind, if you currently play an instrument or you enjoy vocal performing, you don't have to be a major in the Jordan College of the Arts to participate. We do have wonderful ensembles, vocal performing opportunities, non-major dance classes that you can still participate in while not actually being a major in that college. Okay, next. Lacey School of Business. So we just opened a brand new business building 2 years ago that we were really proud of. Our business school is really unique, I think in part again to where we're located. So we're going to talk in a moment just exactly where our campus is situated and why it is kind of the best of both worlds. But we are about 5 to 10 minutes north of downtown Indianapolis. So we have got world headquarters for a lot of different corporations there. We've got professional sports teams, a lot of experiential learning that our students really enjoy, internships far and wide. But again, I think that proximity to being in the capital of the state really lends our students to have a phenomenal business experience. Okay. Next.
Awesome. Yeah. So like Becky just mentioned, our location is, I think, one of the biggest kind of selling features of our university is we are located in the city limits of Indianapolis, Indiana, which is the state capital of Indiana. And it is also the 17th largest city in the United States at this point. So with that being said, lots of great internship opportunities, like Becky just mentioned. I always like to joke with students from the East Coast, specifically if you are coming from one of the major cities, it is very comparable. There are tall buildings, there are museums, monuments, restaurants, shopping, sports teams, all of those different things that you would find in kind of a normal metropolitan area. So we are 5 miles north of downtown. So if you're looking at this image, it's kind of up into the right area of the screen is where you would find our campus, as this image is kind of a western facing view of the city. Because we are located in the city limits, but in a residential neighborhood, we don't really have our own college town or anything kind of right on our campus that you might find at some other schools. So we often kind of refer to Broad Ripple Village, which is one of the neighborhoods in town, as our college town. It's about 2.5 miles northeast of our campus, and it's where you're going to find lots of shops and restaurants and boutiques, and kind of where our students just typically like hang out and kind of call their college town. So now what we're going to do is we're going to shift gears a little bit from talking about all of our programs on campus to talking a little bit more about the admission process. Hopefully the next few slides, will answer some of your questions and concerns about this process. As I know a lot of you listening in, never thought in a million years you would be going through the college search process in the midst of a global pandemic and doing everything virtually. So Here, you're going to see our academic profile. This kind of gives you an idea of where our typical incoming first-year Butler student is, academically speaking. These numbers are middle 50% ranges. So what that means is students are obviously above and below these ranges when we are admitting them. So for the GPA, it's about a 3.6 to a 4.1 weighted GPA. So what that means is really A's and B's on your transcript. A C here or there, usually not going to make or break our decision, but we do want to see that you've challenged yourself, taken those higher level courses, and done well in those courses during your time in high school. For the ACT, it's about a 25 or 24 to a 30, and for the SAT, an 1150 to 1300. Please keep in mind, we are test optional, so you do not need to submit your test scores to Butler this year or in any subsequent years. We will be test optional moving forward. The last thing I'd like to note about these middle 50% ranges is please do keep in mind there are a few academic programs that are slightly more competitive for admission. Our engineering program that Becky mentioned, our health sciences, healthcare and business, pharmacy, biology, and chemistry programs as well. In terms of the actual physical components for the application, this is a list of what we actually need. We have our own application, but are also a member of Common App. There is truly no preference either way as to which one you submit to us. We truly don't care. It's up to you. If you're applying to other schools, it's probably easier to just submit the Common application because you've probably created an account and already have all that information listed. But you can submit the Butler app as well. It's totally up to you. It is completely free to apply on either application, so no need to worry about that. In terms of the essay and personal statement, this is truly the best chance for you to share your story and share a little bit more information about yourself. There is no supplemental essay or for Butler. So just that main essay that's listed on Common App or the Butler app, I think there's like 7 or 8 different topics that are truly open-ended and broad that you can respond to. However, just want to let you know that if you are applying to one of our performance-based programs, there is a supplemental application that'll just require a little bit more information about your performance or art background. Again, we're going to need your transcript and your secondary school report. These are things that are going to come from your school counseling office. Please make sure you talk with them and ask them what their policy is to getting that information to us. We are getting close to the November 1st deadline. So please make sure that you talk to your school counselors because I know there's a little bit of kind of a delay sometimes. It takes a couple of days or weeks to get those documents submitted to us on the college side. One thing I do want to note about your transcript this year is that we understand that everyone went to kind of a virtual model for the end of your junior year, especially you seniors. And on the school report, it'll tell us what your school did. You went to a virtual model, you weren't able to get grades, you had to go to a pass-fail system. Like, please note, we understand that. We are reading all of those little kind of information sections on the school report. And we understand that each school did everything differently. We are in no means going to hold that against you that, if your school went to pass fail or, you weren't able to get grades for the end of your junior year, please don't worry. We'll work with your school if we have any questions. Now we come up to the kind of optional components. We are test optional because so many students have had issues getting access to testing this year. We've decided to move to test optional. We will also be test optional moving forward. So what that means is you do not need to submit your test scores this year or in any year kind of coming up. If you do submit your test scores, that is totally fine. You can also self-report your test scores either on your application or via your student status page. The other optional pieces at Butler would be a resume or letters of recommendation. They are not necessary, but are welcomed, and they will be reviewed if you do submit them. In terms of some important dates and deadlines, our application does open on August 1st of your senior year. And then our first deadline is November 1st, which is rapidly approaching, which is crazy to think about that it's already, October 20 something. So we would definitely encourage you to apply by November 1st, our early action deadline. It is non-binding. There are a few benefits of applying early. First, you just get your decision early. We start releasing decisions on a weekly rolling basis in mid-October, and all students will have a decision by the middle of December. Second, you will have the best consideration for academic scholarships, which I'll talk about on the next slide. And third, you could be considered for the honors program at the university. If you miss the early action deadline, you can apply by February 1st, which is our regular decision deadline, and you will still be considered for admission at Butler. The free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA, did open on October 1st, and we recommend that students and families file the FAFSA by December 1st if you're applying early action, and by March 1st if you've applied under our regular decision deadline. So when you do apply to Butler, you will be automatically considered for academic or merit-based scholarships. These scholarships do range between about $15,000 and $22,000 a year and are renewable for your 4 years at Butler. Students are going to be automatically considered for these awards when you do submit your application. And this is also, you will also be considered regardless of if you submit test scores. So if you do submit or if you do not submit, it doesn't matter. You will still be considered for the same academic scholarship awards. There are 2 additional scholarships that you can apply to separately if you apply under our early action deadline. And the first one is our Morton Finney Diversity Scholar Award, which is for students who are committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion in their school and local communities. And then the Center for Faith and Vocation Award for students who are committed to communities of faith and service to others. You will receive an email with more information about those if you apply by our early action deadline. And the deadline for submitting those scholarship applications is November 15th, so a little bit after our early action deadline. So that is everything that Becky and I have prepared to share with you all tonight about Butler. So hopefully you learned a little bit more and you were able to gather some information about our admission process. We do want to leave you with an adorable picture of Butler Blue the Fourth, or who we refer to as Blue. He is our live Bulldog mascot. I did include his social media handle at the bottom, at the Butler Blue. I would highly recommend giving him a follow on all of the different social channels. Today, we actually just had our first pod delivery of the year, where we actually go and deliver acceptance letters to students. Typically, it happens all across the country, but this year, I think we have to stick, unfortunately, just to the Indy area in person. But he is absolutely adorable. So what we're going to do now is we are going to transition into our student panel. So if the current students want to pop back on, start their cameras back up and unmute themselves, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So anyone listening in, please feel free to take a screenshot or write down our contact information. So if you do have questions, please feel free to contact Becky or I. All right. Current students, if you guys don't mind going through and introducing yourselves, name, hometown, major, those kind of fun things, and then we'll kind of get started with the panel.
Awesome. I can go ahead and start us off. My name is Caitlin Schindler, and I'm a senior here at Butler. I'm a German and anthropology double major, and I'm from a small town outside of Detroit, Michigan, so about 5 hours away from Butler. And aside from giving tours on campus, I play club soccer, I'm in Greek life, and I've studied abroad 3 different times.
I can go next. Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm a sophomore from Arlington Heights, Illinois, which is a northwest suburb of Chicago. I'm an international business and marketing double major with a German minor. Some things I'm involved in are Greek life, the honors program. I'm a Morton Finney scholar, and I'm in some business organizations.
So I guess that just leaves me. Hi, my name is Haley. I am a junior marketing major from Racine, Wisconsin. Some things I'm involved with on campus besides giving tours is I'm involved with Greek life, our business fraternity, and I lifeguard at the Health and Recreation Center as well.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And for those of you listening in today, if you do have questions for our current students, please feel free to drop them in the chat because we can't answer those live. But just to get us kind of started tonight, can you guys, each one of you, kind of talk about your college search process and why did you ultimately choose Butler?
Yeah, I can go ahead and talk about mine. So basically, I started my college search process during my junior year of high school. I basically just Google searched small liberal arts schools near a city because that's like kind of like I gauged like what I wanted out of a college. And Butler came up. I'd never heard of Butler before then, and I was excited. It was only about 5 hours away. So during my spring break of my junior year, I did a big college road trip with my parents. Butler was on that. So I stopped by. It was like a rainy day, like not the best day to get a tour at campus, but it was honestly like turned out so much better than I thought it was. My tour guide was really awesome. And honestly, just walking around, I was still able to get like a really good vibe of the campus culture as well. The students were all like walking with each other to class. Like not a lot of students also like walk around like with their headphones in class too, or like just to class. So that was just like a little thing that I noticed. And then really the big things I was looking for in my college search was a small school. So smaller class sizes. I really like that one-on-one interactions that I get with my teacher. So that was a big thing that I wanted to look for. And then also a school near a city was really awesome. I wanted to be able to do more things off campus, not just like stay confined to the school. And so those were two big things that I really found at Butler, especially being close to downtown Indy and also the Broad Ripple area too. There's a lot of awesome things that we can go ahead and do off campus as students. And then also the smaller class sizes are really awesome. Honestly, I've only had one lecture hall kind of class, and that was during my first year. It was a general chemistry course, and only about 70 students were in that. And still with those big science courses, you still get that lab component with that. And that's typically around like 20 to 25 students in the lab. So you still get that one-on-one time with your professor. And that's just a really awesome thing that I've been able to take advantage of during my time here.
So I toured what felt like 1.5 million schools, and everybody always said that you would like get the feeling when you were on a college campus. And I was convinced that that was never going to happen for me. But we just kind of kept looking at schools and more schools. And my mom suggested Butler from a colleague of hers, and I did not want to come. I think it's because she suggested that we come. I was like super adamant that I was not going to Butler. Well, turns out moms are always right. I know, I'll say it again, moms are always right. And so came onto campus, ended up loving it. I ended up only applying to Butler, which is kind of unique. My acceptance came whatever day, like the first round of acceptances in October, and I committed the next day. So I was Butler the entire way. On my on-campus visit, I listened to a student panel, and there was a student on the panel, and everything she was saying was what I wanted: small class sizes, the personal connection with your professors, getting to know people within the campus, and opportunities within the college, but also within the surrounding areas. And she said, Butler is a game changer. It'll change your life in more ways than one. And when she said those words, I was like, yep, sign me up. This is where I need to be. And those words could not be more true. So yes, Butler's a game changer. It'll change your life in so many ways. And I think it's just such a great place to be.
So I have a bit more of a complex story. So I actually transferred to Butler between freshman and sophomore year. And my college search started junior year of high school. So between junior year of high school and freshman year of college, I applied to 37 schools. Yeah, Common App. Yeah, I was accepted to like well over 20 of them. Some of them were just Common App, but I applied to 37 different schools and toured a lot of them. But Butler had always been on my radar. I just had never been able to come down and visit. And that was something I was trying to do, was like go visit the school and then decide based on that, because that's how you get a real good feel of the environment. And so second round, I was looking to transfer. And so I came to visit Butler to visit a friend, and I fell in love. As soon as I stepped on the campus, I was sold. This is where I wanted to go. I called my mom, I was like, I need to go here. I don't care about anything else. I want to go here and only here. And so I went through the whole admissions process, and I went on my tour. It was a one-on-one tour. My tour guide was great, really tailored it to me. And I never once felt like a number. I always felt like a student who had real fears and real needs that needed to be addressed. And so I was always greeted by name, and that I was a student first and foremost. And that was very important to me. And then I got my acceptance actually on my way back down here to go visit my friend again at a toll booth in Illinois. So I opened that email while waiting in line to pay, and called my mom crying because I was so excited. So, but what really sold me not only was like this, like the interactions I had already, but was the small class sizes, the student to faculty ratio. I'm not big on lecture halls. I feel like I can't ask questions, and that's something that Butler kind of strives for is that more flat layout to have the ability to ask questions and collaborate with your peers. And that was really important to me, along with being not only a small campus, but near something. I didn't want to be in the middle of nowhere. So Butler was kind of like the full package for me. And so I transferred and I have been nothing but happy since. So.
Oh, we love to hear that. I also am still shocked that you applied to so many schools. We hope that most high school students don't apply to that many different colleges, but wow. The Common App, I guess it makes it easy to apply, right? So I know you guys all mentioned a handful of different activities that you're involved in on campus currently. Do you want to maybe like highlight a couple of things of, activities you're involved in, how you got involved, and kind of what there is to do on our campus?
I can go ahead and talk about just like student involvement, how you kind of get involved. So during Welcome Week, which is when our first year students come back a little bit early before classes start, they get a student orientation guide who would be an upperclassman, and they're kind of there to assist them during the week. These groups are usually like 10 to 15 students. So it's really great because you get a personal connection with the other first years, but also with the upperclassmen. So it's a great way to make connections early on. Towards the end of that week, we have something called Block Party, which if you've seen the movie Pitch Perfect, it's literally that in real life. So you walk around, we have over 150 student organizations. And so there's definitely a way to get involved with anything and everything you might be interested in. It's a joke that Butler students have a character trait where they can't say no. And so everyone will sign up for probably about 30 clubs. And then you'll realize you just cannot do that physically. And so you'll kind of go through and you get to learn about the different organizations, what they might do, and then you'll be able to narrow it down from there. So yeah, there's lots of ways to figure out what to get involved. People send you emails, but Block Party is just a great way to kind of learn about all the other clubs. It can be overwhelming, like walking to look over everything, but it's a great way. You go with your orientation group and they're kind of there to help assist you through what you might be interested in.
Awesome. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna talk. I know some of us mentioned that we were involved in Greek life, and so that is just another thing that students can go ahead and get involved in here. We do something a little bit different with our recruitment process. We actually go through that recruitment process a week before our spring semester starts. So students come back a week early in January and go through that process throughout the whole week as well. So they're done with that before school starts, which one is really nice. You don't go through that recruitment process during the school year. And two, students at Butler are able to get that first semester to just kind of get used to college life, like ease in to Butler, and then go through that recruitment process if they want to. And about 35% of our students are involved in Greek life. So I always love to say that it's prominent, not dominant, prominent with like all the different activities that all of the Greek houses put on and like all of their philanthropy events, but not dominant because only about 35% of our students are involved with that.
Great. Thank you so much, Caitlin. Okay, share with me your favorite class and why. Your favorite class or your favorite professor, and maybe it's the same, but tell me why it's your favorite.
I'll go ahead and go first. I actually really love that question. So my favorite professor of all time actually teaches like some of the favorite courses that I've had. Her name is Dr. Julie Searcy. And she was actually my first year seminar professor. So I met her like first week that I was here at Butler. And she is our FYS, our first year seminar was actually focused on medical anthropology, and that kind of helped me to just like learn more about anthropology, and actually encouraged me to go into the anthropology major that I am now. And I actually have a current class with her that is medical anthropology, and that class is just like so interesting. We learn about different like looking at medicine from a cultural standpoint, not just like a biological or scientific standpoint. So that's just like super interesting. And she is just like an incredible professor. I love like the way that she teaches our course. She actually starts off every class with a check-in. So like asks us all a question and we all get to go around. So it's a very awesome collaborative space. And she is so understanding as well. She one week was just like, we're just going to do a week off. So give your brains a break and we'll get back next week. So she's just an incredible professor. And I've really loved the classes that I've had with her.
Great, great. I hear about FYS a lot first year seminar. Give me your elevator speech. What is first year seminar?
Yeah, so first year seminar is a class that every student is required to take during their first year here at Butler. And so basically any student can go ahead and actually choose their first year seminar that they wish to take. And so that class can range from something that you're interested in studying, like that has to do with your major, or like random topics. Like I know one of the classes was based off the TV show Walking Dead. So it's just a really awesome class that gets students like collaborating with each other, learning how to write papers, getting to know different people within like your class and different first years.
One thing I always like to note about our first year seminar, I know we mentioned our average class size is around 22. The first year seminar course is actually capped at, I believe, at 18 students. So even right from the get-go, right out of the gates, you're going to have at least one class that is really small. You get to know all of your classmates. You get to know that professor really well, as Caitlin just mentioned, and kind of like kick off your college experience in this kind of like awesome collaborative environment. One thing also about first year seminar that I love to mention too is it is part of our core curriculum. Butler is a liberal arts college at our core, right? We were founded as a liberal arts institution, still serves as our educational foundation today. And so students are required to take classes in lots of different subject areas, including our Indianapolis community requirement and our, our cultural requirements. Do you guys want to maybe mention a little bit about either one of those two pieces as well? If you've had any cool experiences through the Indy requirement or the cultural requirement? Oh, Haley, I think you're muted.
Zoom. I can touch on the culture requirement. The Butler cultural requirements, how I like to think about them, are things that are outside of your major that you're going extra time to go see. So visitor writers, like various authors, guest speakers, performances, concerts, all of those wonderful things that are outside of your typical day-to-day schedule. And so you're taking the time to go see them. I went to a couple for my natural world credit class, and I went to one on neuroscience, and I'm a marketing major. And so my knowledge of the brain is very limited. But I was at the edge of my seat the entire time. It was so interesting, so cool. I bought a book on neuroscience afterwards. I ordered it Prime. It was shipped the next day. And my respect for Derek Shepherd off of Grey's Anatomy just went sky high. Oh, I watched Grey's Anatomy again, and I understood some things they were talking about, and I was like, this is great. This is what I needed. So that was my favorite cultural requirement that I went to. It was a J. Woods, I think that J. James Woods, there we go, presentation. So it was very cool.
I remember feeling super overwhelmed when I heard about the cultural requirements. I love art. I appreciate it. I cannot sing, dance, play an instrument to save my life. Part of our core curriculum is like a PCA where you have to like do an art class. I'm in sketching 101. My poor professor that has to grade my sketches, I think he's realized that he just has to go easy on me. But I was really nervous. I wasn't gonna be able to get them. They're so easy to get the requirements. I'm a sophomore, so I was here for like 3/4 of a year last year, and I already have 6. So like it's super easy to get them done, and then they're like super interesting to go to, and it's not just sitting listening to like one person play their instrument. They're like, which is great if you play your instrument, all the power to you, but there's lots of ones that are like engaging and you can learn something new, like Haley was saying.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. I had a great question and I just totally blanked. What if you guys, can you just tell me like a little bit about maybe like your favorite spot on campus, or whether it be an academic building, a social space, kind of what is your favorite part about our campus?
So I think like my favorite part of campus would actually be Holcomb Gardens. Right on kind of like the edge of Butler's campus, we have this like awesome like naturey space with a lot of trees. And it actually runs into the Indianapolis Canal, which goes right along like Butler's Edge, and that runs to downtown as well as into Broad Ripple. It also has like a walking path. So I've done so many walks either to like Broad Ripple or downtown, and it also runs into the Newfields Museum, which is which used to be called the Indianapolis Museum of Art, and they have some outdoor art things. So that is probably like one of my favorite places, just to kind of like get that feeling of getting off campus but still being super close to campus and taking some walks and seeing some nature.
I'm a little bit biased, but I love Lacey School of Business. The building is so beautiful. I could talk about it for hours. I could be in there for hours. I think the spaces that they've created really allow for collaboration. So I think it's really neat that I can go by myself and study and find a spot for me to sit, or I can go with a group and find a place to sit and collaborate. So I really enjoy the different opportunities for spaces to be. The building is 4 stories high and there's lots of windows on the top floor. So I love when I can sit outside. I know I'm uncommon, but I love snow. So in the winter, I love sitting out there if it's like snowing. And I think it's so cool to just watch the snow and do my homework, and yeah, makes me happy.
I think my favorite place on campus is Atherton Union, but specifically Starbucks. I am a Starbucks fiend. I would drink espresso at 2 a.m. if I could. I love Starbucks. But I also like the study space there. I'm someone that needs like a lot of white noise to study, and there's always something happening in the Atherton Union. So that kind of fits more my study needs and like the environment I need. Plus, as soon as I run out of my coffee, I can go get another one. So.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about athletics on campus. So we're Division I, so big school spirit, but we've got a robust club athletic program as well as intramurals. How do you go to a game? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I can go ahead and talk a little bit about our club and intramural sports. I know I mentioned that I'm in club soccer earlier. So we have multiple different club and intramural sports. The main difference between the two is just the competitive nature of them. Intramural sports are more low key, and it's only teams within Butler. And so you'd be playing different students at Butler. And typically that's just, again, not super competitive. Club sports, on the other hand, are pretty competitive, especially for club soccer. I know it's best if you have a lot of experience. I grew up playing soccer, so it worked out well for me. And with that also comes usually a little fee or dues that you have to pay that would play for like the fields. So for club soccer, that's around $100. Our season is about 6 weeks long, so it does like depend on the time of year as well. I know like our club volleyball and club basketball is starting up since we're getting a little colder, doing more indoor sports. And so it depends on the time of year for the club sports, but we also get to play schools from other play teams from other schools as well, which is kind of fun. You get to travel a little bit with that too. So that's there's a lot of different, and they go throughout the whole year as well, which is really fun.
I've grown up with sports, so for me, it was really important to come to a university that supported their athletic teams and like really wanted to be involved in it. I really enjoy being in class with athletes. I think at such a small school, you get to like know them. So I think it's cool that I'm like in class at 11 a.m. with a basketball player, and then at 7 p.m. they're on the court like winning a game. So it's really cool that you kind of can build those relationships. I think Hinkle Fieldhouse is amazing. If you haven't seen the movie Hoosiers, Hinkle is actually one of the locations that they film. So I think that's really cool that we get to kind of have such a historic field house. Butler students get free ticketing to all student athletic events, including men's basketball. You can pay a small fee to be a part of something called Dog Pound, which gets you early access to student ticketing. And you can sit behind the baskets on either end. So my family would be watching Butler games, and if I'm like sitting back there, they can see me, which is really fun. It also gets you like free t-shirts at soccer games, football games, volleyball games. So I have like 4 or 5 Nike Dry Fit shirts from Dog Pound, and that's more than whatever the fee is. So I think that's super great. So I always recommend joining Dog Pound if you're a sports fan.
Having sports on campus is like very important because it does provide a sense of camaraderie amongst students. So the whole campus is so elated after a big win, and it's nice to see like people going out to support them. I was very excited for football this year. My apartment's actually on the 50-yard line, so I was a little bummed, but we get to see them practicing. But it's, for me, that was very important, was having an active team, having it be a big part of the culture here. So, and going kind of back to what Lauren said, I had a basketball player as my CEO in one of my classes for real business experience, which is a business requirement. So that was really cool to kind of hear more about like the insider part of practice and like what goes into it. So, but sports was really important to me when I was doing my college search as well, even though I'm not necessarily playing.
Awesome. Thanks. I mean, I did not go to Butler. I love being able to cheer on the dogs and like all the sporting events, and obviously always wearing my Butler blue and loving seeing all the school spirit when I am on campus. So we have just about 5 minutes left. So why don't, if you guys don't mind, maybe like sharing a piece of advice or words of wisdom to the students kind of listening in today, anything that you kind of want to share as we do wrap up this awesome panel tonight.
That's a tricky one.
I guess like what would you have wanted to know going in the college search process that you now know being a Butler Bulldog? I guess that might be a better way to phrase it.
I think it's so easy to look at universities based on like awards they might have won or statistics or graduation rate. And while those are all like super important, in Butler, we are very proud of our statistics. I think it's really important to focus on the feel you get on campus, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to make you happiest and supported in that environment. And so I think just really focusing, and I know I said that this was fake at the beginning of this, but like you will get a feeling on campus. And so I really think you like pay attention to that. And that is so telling and important to your time on campus, whatever university that may be. I think you really have to pay attention to that, and you will know it when you find it, I promise.
Yeah, I think something that also could be super helpful is to just kind of take some time to narrow down what you want out of your college experience. It may not just be like for the academics, because I know I had no idea what I wanted to go into. So I wanted a school that I could help find that out in the way that I wanted to. And so just do your research if you want like a bigger school or a smaller school, if you like that one-on-one feel with your professors, if you learn better in that environment, figure that out. If you want to be close to home, those are just like very big factors that will factor into your life at school. And so, yeah, my advice would just be like, take your time, figure out what you want, and then you can do Google search, anything like that, ask around, and yeah.
So I think my biggest piece of advice is to remember that this is your experience and it's what you want out of it, and it's only your choice. It really comes down to what you want and what you as a student and as a person needs. So it should be tailored around what you perceive your college experience to be. So that's my little shred of advice. That, or as soon as those parking passes come out, just snag one.
It's very practical advice. I do like that. Yeah, parking always. So that actually like wraps up everything we have tonight. I know the PACAC facilitator will come back on and share one last thing, but one last thing we wanted to just share is that our campus is open. We are hosting visitors on campus. So if you do want to come and visit us, please just visit butler.edu/visit, and you can sign up for a visit and maybe have one of these lovely ladies as one of your tour guides when you do come. But if there is anything we can do, please don't hesitate to reach out to Becky and I, as we are more than happy to assist you as you navigate this college search process. So I will turn it back over to our facilitator.
And that is terrible timing, as my dog just decided he needed his stuffed duck and is now screaming. So if you hear something, sorry. All right, I will end this a bit more officially. with a huge, of course, thank you for joining us. It was such a pleasure to have our visiting students here as well as our fantastic panelists. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey, and we do really appreciate any feedback you can provide. As I said at the beginning, this is one of our many sessions being hosted. We would love to see you back for any additional ones. Please feel free to sign up at pacac.org. And in about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recordings as well as all of our other session recordings, same website, pacac.org. On that note, thank you all so much and have a great night.